There's a specific physiological response that happens in your body during kettlebell training that doesn't happen, at least not to the same degree, with almost any other form of exercise. Researchers studying this specific response have a name for it, and once you understand what it actually is, you'll understand why kettlebell enthusiasts so often describe results that seem disproportionate to the simplicity of the equipment they're using. Did you know kettlebells do this to your body? Today we're covering a collection of physiological responses and changes that happen specifically from kettlebell training, several of which surprise people who've only thought about exercise in terms of the basic categories, building muscle or burning calories. The reality of what's happening inside your body is considerably more interesting and more amazing than that simplified picture. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In the next 12 minutes, we're exploring exactly what kettlebells do to your body, starting with that unique physiological response I mentioned, the one that distinguishes this type of training from almost everything else in the fitness world. But first, let's set up why this matters, because understanding the mechanism changes how you think about every kettlebell session you do going forward. Let's get into it. The unique response that sets kettlebell training apart. Here's what makes kettlebell training, particularly ballistic movements like swings, snatches, and cleans, physiologically distinct from most other exercise modalities. It's the combination of significant strength demand and significant cardiovascular demand occurring simultaneously within the same movement, rather than as separate, sequential activities. When you lift a heavy barbell for a few reps, you're primarily demanding strength and power from your muscular and nervous systems, with relatively modest sustained cardiovascular demand, since the set itself is typically brief, followed by substantial rest. When you go for a run, you're primarily demanding sustained cardiovascular output, with relatively modest demands on maximal strength or power production. Kettlebell ballistic training occupies a distinctive middle ground, demanding significant force production, particularly through explosive hip extension, while simultaneously maintaining this output across enough repetitions and duration to create substantial cardiovascular and metabolic demand. This combination triggers what exercise physiologists sometimes refer to as a concurrent training effect, where your body is essentially forced to adapt to multiple types of stress simultaneously, rather than addressing them through separate, specialized training sessions. This concurrent demand is responsible for several of the specific things we're about to discuss, results that surprise people because they don't fit neatly into either the typical strength training results category or the typical cardio results category. Let's go through these one at a time. What kettlebells do to your hormones. Here's something that genuinely surprises most people. The specific hormonal response triggered by kettlebell ballistic training, particularly higher intensity swing protocols, differs measurably from the hormonal response to either traditional strength training alone or traditional cardio alone. Research examining acute hormonal responses to kettlebell training has found significant elevations in growth hormone following kettlebell swing protocols, with some studies showing increases considerably higher than what's typically seen following comparable duration steady-state cardiovascular exercise. This matters because growth hormone plays a significant role in fat metabolism, tissue repair, and various aspects of recovery. Testosterone responses have also been examined in this context. While a single workout's hormonal spike doesn't translate directly into long-term changes in baseline hormone levels, the acute hormonal environment created by training does influence the immediate post-workout period, which is relevant for recovery and adaptation processes. What's particularly interesting is that this hormonal response appears related to the specific combination of factors present in kettlebell ballistic training: the involvement of large muscle groups, particularly the posterior chain, the explosive nature of the movement, and the sustained nature of typical kettlebell protocols, which often involve continuous or near-continuous movement across multiple minutes, rather than the brief, intermittent effort pattern typical of traditional weightlifting with longer rest periods. This is part of why kettlebell training is sometimes described as triggering responses similar to what you'd expect from high-intensity interval training, but with the added strength and power component that pure cardiovascular HIIT protocols don't typically include. What kettlebells do to your nervous system. Here's something that doesn't get discussed nearly often enough when people talk about kettlebell training: the significant nervous system adaptations that occur. separate from anything happening in your muscles directly. The explosive nature of movements like the kettlebell swing requires what's called high rate of force development, essentially your nervous system's ability to recruit muscle fibers rapidly and powerfully in a short time window. This is a distinctly different neurological skill than the type of force production used in slower, more controlled strength exercises. Research on rate of force development training shows that this specific quality, separate from maximum strength itself, has significant implications for various aspects of physical function, particularly things like reactive balance, the ability to quickly catch yourself if you stumble, and general movement efficiency and power output in daily activities and sports. This is genuinely one of the more amazing aspects of kettlebell training that doesn't get enough attention. You're not just building muscle and burning calories, you're specifically training your nervous system's capacity for rapid force production, a quality that traditional slow, controlled resistance training, while excellent for other purposes, doesn't develop nearly as effectively. This also connects to something researchers have observed regarding aging populations specifically. Rate of force development tends to decline with age even more significantly than maximum strength does, which has direct implications for full risk and injury prevention in older adults. Training that specifically maintains or develops this quality, like kettlebell ballistic movements, addresses something that more traditional, slower strength training approaches often don't adequately target: what kettlebells do to your fascia and connective tissue. This is an area that's received increasing research attention, and it represents something most people have never even considered when thinking about exercise benefits. Fascia is the connective tissue network that surrounds and connects your muscles, organs, and other structures throughout your body. For a long time, fascia was largely overlooked in exercise science, viewed mainly as a passive structure rather than something that adapts and responds to training in its own right. More recent research has revealed that fascia does adapt to training, and specific types of loading appear to influence this connective tissue network differently than others. The dynamic, multi-directional, and often rotational nature of various kettlebell movements, not just the swing, but movements involving rotation and varied planes of motion, appears to provide a specific type of stimulus to this fascial network that more linear single-plane movements don't replicate as effectively. This matters because healthy, well-adapted fascia plays a role in efficient force transmission throughout your body, in injury resilience, and in overall movement quality. While this research area is still developing, the practical observation many experienced kettlebell practitioners report, a sense of overall body resilience and connected strength that feels different from what they experienced with more isolated machine-based training, may relate to this fascial adaptation. What kettlebells do to your grip and forearms, and why this matters more than you think. We touched on this in a previous discussion, but it's worth expanding on specifically here because of how significant the broader implications actually are. The thick handle and dynamic, often rotating nature of kettlebell movements creates substantial demand on your grip strength, your hands, and your forearms. This happens essentially as a side effect of performing the primary exercise. You're not specifically training grip, but it's receiving substantial stimulus regardless. Here's what makes this particularly significant. Beyond just having a stronger handshake, research has consistently found grip strength to be one of the more reliable predictors of overall health outcomes and longevity across large population studies. This isn't because having a strong grip itself directly causes better health outcomes, but rather because grip strength appears to serve as a useful proxy measurement for overall muscular function, neuromuscular health, and general physical capacity throughout the body. When researchers find that grip strength correlates with various health markers across large populations, they're essentially observing that grip strength tends to track with overall physical capacity and vitality. Training that significantly improves your grip strength, like consistent kettlebell training, is generally also improving these broader markers of physical capacity, even though the grip strength itself is just one visible indicator of that broader improvement. What kettlebells do to your core, beyond what you'd expect. Most people understand that kettlebell training engages the core significantly. We've discussed this in previous content. But the specific way this engagement occurs deserves more detailed attention here. Traditional core training, things like crunches or sit-ups, primarily trains your core through what's called flexion, the bending forward motion of your spine. Kettlebell training, particularly movements like swings, presses, and carries, primarily trains your core through what's called anti-extension and anti-rotation, your core's ability to resist unwanted movement rather than create movement itself. This distinction matters significantly for real-world function. In daily life and in most athletic activities, your core's primary job isn't actually to create spinal flexion repeatedly, it's to maintain stability and resist unwanted movement while force is being transmitted through your body. While you're lifting something, while you're being pushed or pulled, while you're changing direction. This is sometimes referred to in strength and conditioning circles as core stability versus core mobility training, and research increasingly suggests that core stability, the anti-movement function, deserves at least as much attention as the more traditional flexion-based core training that's historically dominated fitness culture. Kettlebell training, almost as a side effect of its primary movements, provides substantial stimulus to this stability function specifically. What kettlebells do to your metabolic flexibility? Here's a concept that's received increasing research attention: metabolic flexibility. Essentially your body's capacity to efficiently switch between using different fuel sources, primarily carbohydrates and fats, depending on what's available and what the current demand requires. Poor metabolic flexibility is associated with various negative health markers, while good metabolic flexibility is generally associated with better overall metabolic health and easier body composition management. The type of training that combines significant strength demand with significant cardiovascular and metabolic demand, which describes kettlebell ballistic training well, appears to be particularly effective at improving this metabolic flexibility compared to either pure strength training or pure steady-state cardiovascular training in isolation. This connects back to that concurrent training effect we discussed at the beginning. Your body, when regularly exposed to this combined demand, adapts by becoming more efficient at handling varied energy demands, which has implications beyond just the immediate training session, potentially influencing how efficiently your body manages energy throughout your entire day, not just during exercise itself. What kettlebells do to your proprioception and body awareness. This is another area that doesn't receive enough attention when people discuss kettlebell benefits. Proprioception refers to your body's sense of its own position and movement in space, essentially the sensory system that allows you to know where your limbs are and how they're moving without having to visually look at them constantly. The offset, somewhat unstable nature of the kettlebell, particularly during dynamic movements like swings, and especially during more complex movements like the Turkish get-up, requires significantly more proprioceptive engagement than lifting a more stable, evenly weighted implement, like a standard dumbbell or barbell. This enhanced proprioceptive demand essentially trains your body's awareness and control systems, separate from the strength or cardiovascular adaptations we've discussed. Research on proprioceptive training shows benefits extending to areas like injury prevention, particularly regarding joint stability, and improved overall movement coordination and efficiency across various activities, not just the specific exercise being performed. Bringing this all together, here's what's genuinely amazing when you step back and look at everything we've covered. A single kettlebell, used for movements like swings, cleans, presses, and get-ups, is simultaneously triggering hormonal responses that influence fat metabolism and recovery, developing your nervous system's capacity for rapid force production with implications for fall prevention and reactive movement, potentially influencing your fascial network's adaptation and overall body resilience, substantially developing grip strength that correlates with broader health and longevity markers, training your core's stability function in a way that's arguably more functionally relevant than traditional flexion-based core work, improving your metabolic flexibility and your body's efficiency in managing energy from different fuel sources, and enhancing your proprioceptive capacity and body awareness in ways that extend beyond the specific exercise itself. This is what makes the concurrent training effect we discussed at the beginning so significant. You're not getting one category of benefit from your kettlebell training. You're getting multiple, often overlapping categories of adaptation, occurring simultaneously, from movements that take a relatively modest amount of time to perform. This is part of why kettlebell enthusiasts so often report results that that feel disproportionate to the apparent simplicity of swinging a weighted ball around. The simplicity of the equipment masks the genuine physiological complexity of what's happening inside your body during these sessions. Why this matters for how you approach your own training. Understanding these mechanisms isn't just interesting trivia, it has practical implications for how you might think about your own kettlebell training. If you've been viewing your sessions purely through the lens of, am I building muscle? Or am I burning calories? Understanding these additional dimensions, the hormonal response, the nervous system adaptation, the proprioceptive development, might help you appreciate aspects of your progress that don't show up directly on a scale or in a mirror. It also reinforces why consistency with this type of training tends to produce what feels like compounding benefits over time. You're not just accumulating muscle tissue or burning calories session after session, you're also accumulating nervous system adaptations, metabolic flexibility improvements, and proprioceptive refinements that build upon each other in ways that aren't always immediately visible, but contribute significantly to how your body functions and feels. Your action plan. Here's what I want you to do with this information. As you continue or begin your kettlebell training, pay attention to indicators beyond just visible muscle changes or scale weight. Notice your balance and reactive movement. Do you catch yourself more easily if you stumble? Notice your energy levels and how your body handles different types of physical demands throughout your day, not just during workouts. Notice your grip strength in daily tasks, opening jars, carrying groceries, activities that don't seem directly related to your training, but that benefit from the grip development occurring through it. If you're someone who's been training with kettlebells but hasn't thought much about these underlying mechanisms, this understanding might help you appreciate why this particular tool produces such consistently positive feedback from people who use it regularly, even when the equipment itself seems almost too simple to explain the results. If you've noticed any of these specific benefits in your own kettlebell training, particularly things like improved balance, better reactive movement, or changes in how your body handles different types of physical demands, drop a comment and share your experience. These less obvious adaptations are often the ones people don't think to mention, but they're genuinely significant. And if you want more deep dives into the actual physiological mechanisms behind why specific training methods produce the results they do, rather than just surface-level workout instructions, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Did you know kettlebells do this to your body? Hormonal responses that influence fat metabolism and recovery. Nervous system adaptations affecting rapid force production and fall prevention. Potential fascial network changes contributing to overall body resilience. Significant grip strength development correlating with broader health markers. Core stability training that's arguably more functionally relevant than traditional approaches. Improved metabolic flexibility in how your body manages energy. And enhanced proprioception and body awareness extending beyond the gym. 7 distinct physiological responses, all happening simultaneously. From training that, on the surface, looks remarkably simple, the simplicity is genuinely deceptive. I'll see you in the next video. Now go give your body something amazing to respond to.